Goodness comes and evil goes. Kimunga Ukombozi, Kimunga Ukombozi, Kimunga Ukombozi, divine liberty, divine liberation, divine freedom, and all that will bring for African people wherever we happen to be on the face of this earth. Karibu and welcome. My name is Kwende, and today we're going to be looking at another important subject, and that is music of living African history. To discuss this very important spiritual and cultural expression, which it is, let's look at the phenomena called the sacred universe. Universe. Uni is one, oneness, and verse, song, one song. And that speaks to the oneness of a very special people, the first people of humanity and the spirit people of humanity. African music is of African people wherever we happen to be on the face of this earth. So if we happen to be in the Americas, if we happen to be in Europe, if we happen to be on the great, magnificent mother continent of Africa itself, if we happen to be in the islands of the so-called Caribbean, or more appropriately or more accurately, the islands of New Africa, then it is all African music. It is of African people, and so it is African music. Different flavors, different expressions, different styles, different genres, different musical instruments, different rhythms, different vibrations, different melodies, different sounds, and yet still one song, still the universe, that one song of a people of oneness. For African souls, music is grand accompaniment to African life, African living. So whether the African is in a frame of joy, whether the African is deeply sorrowful, whether the African is in mourning, whether the African is at work, whether the African is at play, whether the African is at war, whether the African is at peace, whether the African is meditating, whether the African is on a journey, whatever the African is engaged in, whatever aspect of life, music is a great and empowering asset, expression, cultural and spiritual expression of African life. Because African souls are of the African history continuum of the then, the now, and tomorrow, naturally music for African souls is of the then, the now, and tomorrow. In fact, it's useful to express sounds and music without the time barriers. Music is the magnificent, the natural, spiritual soundscape of African life. In other words, the spirit people of creation, the ones of spirit, the African people are, this primary people of humanity, are the creators and expressors of spirit music. African music is spirit music. Unfortunately, in recent centuries, we've seen and experienced great interruption and disruption to African life. interruption and disruption where the natural flow of the history continuum has been set upon by others that mean the African ill. Likewise, the expression of music has been set upon by others that mean the African ill. And so there's been distortion, there's been derailment, there's been co-opting, there's been all kinds of ills that have plagued what would be natural African music. And it matters not what the flavor is. It matters not what the genre is. It matters not what the expression of sound is. It's that flow of oneness of being, that one song, that one verse that harmonizes to empower the African soul to the full that has been disturbed. That harmony with the one verse, the universe that has been disturbed. So there's a process of restoration to take place in order for African music to again flow around the world, wherever we are, reflecting our own way of life, our own substance of being, our own civilization, our own nation, our own dynamics of life. And it's so important that the messages that are carried through the vehicle of music are messages to better African life, to uplift, to empower African life, especially in an interrupted state, especially with imposition, especially when others seek to render the African in a less than natural state of being. So the vehicle of music is a powerful one to lift the African to the rightful place of being. Message in music is powerful. So restoring African life in order to express music that reflects African life is all part of what it means to have and engage in living African history. Music allows the African to participate in that eternal moment. This is a spiritual and cultural phenomenon now of the African way. To have segments of time, so a song maybe 3 or 4 minutes in time as it's measured in the mundane. Yet the journeying that takes place whilst engaging in that sound is an eternal moment. It transcends that slice of time. Places are revisited. Atmosphere is recreated. Friends and loved ones are brought to the fore in that slice of time that actually transcends that slice of time. So it is an eternal moment, because even after the song has come to a conclusion, it still plays in the spirit and the soul. We still carry that essence with us. It really is an eternal moment. It's a living diary, a living account, a living expression. And it brings with it great responsibility. So we may use music as part of ceremony, as part of ritual, as part of dance, for sheer entertainment. And although that's very popular, music for African souls goes way beyond simply the aesthetic of mere entertainment. It's an expression of love. It's an expression of life. It's an expression of betterment, of ascension. It is all of those things and more. So we have a duty surely to ourselves to take care with our content as its creators, as its makers, that we produce content that can lift in times when we need to be lifted, that can safeguard or motivate us, energize us to safeguard and build for ourselves, especially in times when we need to safeguard ourselves and build for ourselves. Music that energizes us to maximize African liberty and African nationhood. So let us energize ourselves and lift ourselves in the best way we possibly can. So with that, food for thought, and surely it is food for thought. Kimunga ukombozi, Kimunga ukombozi, Kimunga ukombozi. Divine liberty, divine liberation, divine freedom, and all that that will bring for African people wherever we happen to be on the face of this earth.